Good morning. I'm Jim Burris, reporter and host of Weekend Edition for WABE 90.1. We'd like to welcome our viewers to the Atlanta Press Club Loudermilk Young debate series originating from the Public Broadcasting Atlanta studios. This is the runoff debate between the Democratic candidates for Fulton County Commission District 5. Now let's meet the candidates. They are in alphabetical order. Marvin Arrington Jr. has been an attorney for the past 15 years, and Brenda Muhammad has served as the Atlanta Public School Board on the school board for the past 16 years. And to meet our panelist, Jeremy Campbell is a reporter with WXIA TV. Michelle Alloy is a general assignment reporter for WABE 90.1. And Ernie Suggs is a political reporter for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Now, today's program will consist of 3 rounds. For more information on the rules for each round, please visit the Atlanta Press Club website, atlantapressclub.org. Now, let's get started. We'll begin the program with our panel asking a question to each candidate. Candidates will have 60 seconds to answer each question. Jeremy will ask the first question to Brenda Muhammad.
Brenda, in District 5, people are concerned about 3 things: crime, development, and safety. Which of these would you tackle first, and why?
Well, crime and safety, I think I would combine there, because when you don't have a heightenedness in crime, you have more safety in the community. Crime and safety are passionate. I'm very passionate about those. So I would have to say those would be the areas that I would focus on. Having lost a son, had a son that was murdered at 16 years old, and as the founder of Moms, Mothers of Murdered Sons and Daughters, and the director of the Atlanta Victim Assistance Program, I'm particularly interested in crime and safety, and that is the area that I would address.
All right, Ernie Suggs will now ask a question to Marvin Arrington Jr.
Well, I'm going to piggyback on that question and ask the same question to Mr. Arrington. What would be your priorities?
My priorities are simple. 1, reducing crime, providing a safer communities for our neighborhood. 2, providing more arts and recreations for youth and seniors. And 3, promoting efficiency in Fulton County government.
All right, well, that concludes our first round. In the second round, each candidate asks a question of their opponent. Each candidate will now have 30 seconds to ask that question, 60 seconds to respond, and 30 seconds for a rebuttal. Brenda Muhammad, you get the first question.
Mr. Arrington, with the understanding that the county's responsibility, or the responsibility of the Board of Commissioners, is to provide oversight of taxpayer dollars, and we require taxpayers to be responsible in paying those taxes. Can you absolutely say that you do not owe any outstanding taxes to any outstanding taxes?
No, I cannot say absolutely say that I do not owe any outstanding taxes. I have set up a payment plan with the IRS. I do owe them taxes, but I've set up a payment plan with them. And so I think the proper thing to do is to do as I've done, set up a payment plan, work out a schedule to have those taxes paid.
And Ms. Muhammad, would you care for a rebuttal?
No.
All right.
Thank you.
Marvin Arrington, it's now your turn to ask a question to your opponent.
My question of Ms. Muhammad is, why should the citizens of Fulton County choose you when your neighbors in your home district just ousted you from the school board after the cheating scandal?
I don't know what you mean by my home district. Most of the District 5 County Commission is my home district. And if you're talking specifically about the District 4 that represents just the school board, you will notice that my numbers were much greater than yours during the primary. But I think most of all, to answer your question, most of all, I think people should select me because I am the most experienced candidate here. And we don't have time for learning. There's no time for learning curve here.
And Mr. Arrington, would you care for a rebuttal?
No, thank you.
All right. For those just joining us, this is the runoff debate between the Democratic candidates for Fulton County Commission District 5. We will now go to the final round. Now, in this round, the panelists will take turns asking a question to the candidate of their choice until we run out of time. I will determine when a rebuttal is appropriate. And Michelle Alloy, you get to ask the first question in this round.
Mr. Arrington, according to your website, your platform includes expanding arts and recreation programming and seeking 2 bond referendums. How would you balance your ambitions with the very real budget constraints the county is facing?
Well, I think you have to look at it on a case-by-case basis. I think the bond referendums, if approved by the citizens of the county, would provide additional services. Number one, for arts and recreational facility near Turner Field. And the second one that I propose is one to make sure that we have enough jail coverage, or we have enough room so that we can get out from under the consent order, the federal consent order that Fulton County is currently paying. Certainly we have to be mindful of expenses and we have to be mindful of revenue. And I think, as you suggest, we have to balance the expenses and the revenue in a way that makes sense for the citizens of Fulton County, and being mindful of those dollars that are being spent.
All right, Jeremy, it's now your turn to ask the question.
Ms. Mohammed, what social networks do you use? And if elected, how will you use the internet to communicate with your district?
Well, we currently, we have used Google, Twitter, all of the social media. I can tell you that I'm not the one in the office that does all of this, but occasionally I do. But I try to surround myself with individuals who are much more competent in that area to make sure that we do get information, and I will continue to use social media. We recognize that there's absolutely nothing you can do without it.
All right, Ernie, you may now ask your question.
I want to ask this to Mr. Arrington. There's been a lot of criticism of the county's operations and spending, as you noted, mostly from Republicans in the northern part of the county. So if elected, what is your plan to work with those commissioners in the northern half of the county? And where do you see a common ground?
Well, I think there's a lot of common ground. I think at the end of the day, all of the citizens of Fulton County want to be safe in their home. They want to provide for their families. And so I look forward, part of my platform is attempting to unify Fulton County. You have people in the north that want to separate themselves from the rest of the county. South County wants to separate itself from the city of Atlanta. And I think we need to rally behind Fulton County. I think all of Fulton County, North Fulton, South Fulton, as well as the city of Atlanta, all need to rally behind Fulton County. We need to find common grounds, as I discussed, of making the neighborhood safe, providing arts and recreation for youth and seniors, and also making sure that we provide efficiencies in Fulton County government.
All right, Michelle, we now return to you.
Ms. Mohammed, as Mr. Arrington alluded to, it's been 8 years since the county agreed to a consent order to improve conditions at Fulton County Jail. Yet it remains an issue today. How would you like to tackle this issue?
Well, first of all, I'd like to give the county some acknowledgement that there are only 2 of those two of the items that were identified problems that needed to be fixed left on the table. So for doing that, it has taken quite some time to accomplish that. But I think one of the most important things is that we've got to work with the courts. What we've seen is that there is a backlog of cases where people are just sitting there in the jail. It's creating overcrowding. So that is one of the areas, bringing everybody to the table to address the efficiency of the court and moving people out of the jail.
Jeremy, it's your turn.
Mr. Arrington, what made you get into this race?
I got into this race because I want to make a difference for the citizens of Fulton County. I want to have a better Fulton County for my children and all of the children of Fulton County. I think that I can provide a unique set of leadership skills that I have not seen, and I think additionally my experience with technology, my experience in the law, and my experience in the arts provides me a unique opportunity to be qualified. As an attorney, I practice in the courts and the jails in Fulton County and around the state of Georgia on a daily basis. And I'm able to see the best practices that work in Fulton County, that work in Gwinnett County, Cobb, and all around the state. And so I would like to apply some of those best practices to what I see in Fulton County. So I got in this race to make a difference for Fulton County. I'm offering myself to serve the citizens of Fulton County.
All right. Ernie, I believe it's your turn.
Yes, for Ms. Muhammad. I want to ask about the common ground issue. And the fact that we have a North and a South Fulton seems kind of odd and it seems indicative that there is a split in the county. So where do you see common ground, and can the county be unified?
I think that the county can be unified, and I think a lot of it has to do with the leadership, and it has to do with those individuals that represent the county. And it's a matter of being able to sit at the table, to come to some common ground, and to understand. We all pay taxes across the county. We all have needs. And it's about priorities and what can be accomplished and who's willing to give a little sometime and who's willing, to wait a little while. But I truly believe there is an opportunity to do it and do it with diplomacy.
All right, Michelle, we now return to you for a question.
I'd like to pose it to both candidates. This year, the county cut millions of dollars in funding to Grady Hospital to help balance the budget. Do you support those cuts? And if not, where would you have found other savings in the budget to avoid those cuts?
And Ms. Muhammad, we'll start with you.
Okay. Well, I believe that we had to look at the budget. I mean, there is a shortfall in the budget. It's unfortunate with Grady that we have every county that in the state of Georgia, 157 other counties that utilize the services of Grady. It is one of the top trauma centers in the region. But unfortunately, only 2 counties are paying. And we've got to find some other ways of getting funding to support Grady. Do I support the cut? I don't think we had any other choice but to make some cuts.
And Mr. Arrington, your response.
I believe the county commissioners had a difficult choice in deciding to make those cuts. I believe that they all know that Grady is essential to the city of Atlanta and to the citizens of Fulton County. I believe, one of the biggest problems that we've had with funding Grady is, one, not enough support from the state and surrounding counties. And then more recently, I believe, the lack of funding for Medicaid by Governor Deal has also been a problem for Fulton County. There are funds that would readily be available had Medicaid been approved by the governor. So I think that the commissioners made the tough decision that had to be made in order to make sure that they balanced the budget. My understanding is that 80 to 90% of the people that are serviced by Grady actually reside in Fulton and DeKalb counties. So it makes sense that Fulton and DeKalb would carry the largest burden, but certainly it also makes sense that the rest of the state and the rest of the surrounding counties should also provide their fair share as well.
All right, Jeremy.
Ms. Muhammad, the new Falcon Stadium is real and happening in Fulton County. Mm-hmm. How will you prepare for that?
Well, I think this is it's going to be a new piece for all of us, the Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. But the county has a third interest in the stadium. So, we have no choice but to be supportive. It has impacted a great deal of individuals, but it is a positive. We have to see it as a positive.
All right, Ernie, let's go to you.
If I can ask both of you this question, we mentioned the stadium. Let's talk about the reverse issue of the fact that the Atlanta Braves are going to Cobb County. Your thoughts about that, and what does that mean for the city?
And Mr. Arrington, we'll start with you on this.
Certainly sad to see the Braves leaving Fulton County and going to Cobb County. I grew up as a lifelong resident in Atlanta. I remember visiting the stadium as a child with my father and my mother, and have very fond memories of the Braves in Atlanta. Certainly sad to see them go, but I think that the area that is there, there's an opportunity, a great opportunity to get involved with the community and to build a world-class facility for arts and recreation, and as well as perhaps to have some type of museum to honor the Braves. I think that there's a long legacy in that area, not only with Turner Field, but with the previous Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. So I think there are opportunities for economic development, opportunities to build commercial and retail base that will be sustainable through the years.
All right. Ms. Muhammad.
With regard to the Braves leaving and the stadium there being empty, proposed for a little while anyway, I live over in the community, and I've seen one stadium go, and that's been sitting there vacant, that land, for some time, and then a new stadium with the Olympics. I think it's important that the community has serious dialogue and input about a plan for that new stadium and what that whole area should look like. So I think it's a great, great opportunity for the community and for economic development.
All right, Michelle, we return to you for another question.
Again, I'd like to pose this to both of you. Would you support the incorporation of the city of South Fulton? Why or why not?
Ms. Muhammad, would you care to start?
I would support the incorporation of the city of South Fulton if that is what the communities or the individuals, the constituents of South Fulton want. I think the first thing is that I would certainly overwhelmingly support a referendum to give the constituents an opportunity to express, you know, what they want, whether they want a city or not.
All right, Mr. Arrington.
I support the city of South Fulton. I live in South Fulton and have lived so with my wife and 4 daughters for the last 11 years. In particular, I believe that the Republican legislature specifically redistricted Fulton County to make Bill Edwards and Emma Darnell run against each other. And in my opinion, that basically softened the voice and the vote of the people, the residents of Southwest Fulton County and of South Fulton County. And in my mind, that was done on purpose. In my mind, the city of South Fulton needs to be created on purpose to make sure that the voice and the votes of the people of South Fulton are heard and that they are represented in a proper fashion. So I am definitely in support of the city of South Fulton. Certainly, it will come to a vote, and I would do whatever the citizens of South Fulton decide that they want to do. But personally, I believe in the city of South Fulton, and I'm very supportive of it.
All right, thank you. That is all the time that we have for questions. Candidates will now have 60 seconds for a closing statement. And Marvin Arrington Jr., you get the first closing statement.
My name is Marvin Arrington Jr. I'm a husband, a father, attorney, and a community servant. I'm also a candidate for District 5 of Fulton County Commission. I'm asking for your vote on July 22nd for the runoff because I believe that we need a better Fulton County. We need to have a safer Fulton County. We need to have a more efficient Fulton County government. We need to provide better arts and recreation services for the citizens of Fulton County. And lastly, we need to expand the library hours. We need to make sure that the libraries can be open on Fridays. We need to make sure that the hours are restored on Monday through Thursdays. So I am, again, offering myself to serve the citizens of Fulton County, and I will be humbled and honored to earn your vote on July 22nd. Please vote for Marvin Arrington Jr.
Brenda Muhammad, you may now give your closing statement.
I'm Brenda Muhammad, and I am a candidate for Fulton County Commission District 5. I am a mother, I'm a grandmother, I am an entrepreneur, I am the director of a nonprofit agency. I have done community building and development for almost 40 years in the city of Atlanta. I have a particular interest in Fulton County government because we are all served by it. Our responsibility as county commissioners is to make sure that your tax dollars are spent effectively on health and human services. It is senior citizens and young people that definitely need these services. And I want to make sure that I am that voice for the young people. I want to make sure that I am that voice for seniors, but for all of Fulton County tax-paying residents so that we can have a better county.
All right, well, that concludes our program. We'd like to remind voters that the runoff elections will be held on July 22nd. Our thanks to the candidates and to our panel of journalists. We'd also like to thank the Atlanta Press Club for arranging today's debate. For more information about the Atlanta Press Club and all of the runoff debates they will host, you may visit atlantapressclub.org. I'm Jim Burris. Thanks for joining us for the Atlanta Press Club Loudermilk Young Debate Series.